Jessica up to the front of the room in a big standing ovation.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Klimesh, as Andre said, from Jessica Klimesh Proofreading and Editing. I offer proofreading, editing, and writing consulting services. I started my business in January, so it's relatively new, though I have done freelance writing and editing for a number of years. Basically, I'm here to help people through the writing process because it can be very intimidating and you don't have to write alone. So, why is it not going?
Just left and right.
There we go. Okay, so this cartoon basically depicts me. I'm one of those people who find the errors in emails and signs and menus. And this is why I do this. I notice these things, and I think it affects a person's professional image, a business's professional image. And so I'm here because people can be experts in their field. They don't have to be an expert in writing. They don't have to be an expert in editing and proofreading. They can show me what they know, and then I can help them refine it and do some editing and proofreading so that they don't have errors in menus, for example. Basically, I want to help people present their best self because they know their subject matter. They don't have to be an expert proofreader and editor as well. So a little bit about me, why somebody should choose me over all the other editors and proofreaders that you can find online. I have more than 8 years of experience doing freelance writing and editing, much of it in technical fields. So I have background in technical writing, I have a background in academic writing. I've worked extensively with non-native speakers who are writing in English, and I also have a creative writing background as well. So I have very diverse, knowledge of different kinds of writing. So basically, as a technical writing background, what that means is that I can edit and write about stuff that I don't have any idea of really what I'm talking about, basically. So I've gotten pretty good over the years. I'm trained in kind of deciphering what people mean and then helping them say it clearer. I've gotten pretty good over the years in interpreting what people mean and helping them say it better. I've edited memoir manuscripts, websites with technical content, dissertations, academic work. So I've done a lot of different kinds of things. And basically I want to help writers express their thoughts a little bit more clearly and more effectively, because if it's clearer and more effective, it's more persuasive, and that's the goal after all, I guess. So my main tenet of this is that writing is a process, a little bit like the blooming of an amaryllis plant. Kind of, you start with a little bud of an idea, and you work, and you edit, and you finally get to this plant that blooms. And I think a lot of people don't realize that writing is a process. It doesn't just happen. There are lots of stages, and the editing stage can take a number of months, weeks, days, weeks, months, however long you have, essentially. And basically, I am fanatical about effective and accurate communication. So I do treat every client's project as if it were my own, even though my name is not going to be listed as the author or listed on the website or anything. But I treat it as if it were, because I want it to be clear, I want it to be effective, and I want it to be accurate. So what I offer, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference between proofreading and editing. The words are kind of used interchangeably a lot. So this is kind of a very simplistic flow chart of the writing process. So writing consulting could be somebody has an idea and they don't know where to go with it. Editing is kind of the middle of the writing process. Revision over and over and again. And then proofreading is the very last step in the writing process, right before somebody submits a piece and you want it to be error-free. So I can help writers in any stage of the writing process or in multiple stages. So I do have package deals, if you want to call them that. So if someone needs both editing and proofreading services, they do get a discount then on the proofreading services, because having already read through and edited, the proofreading should go much smoother anyway. So there are some discounted services available. This kind of shows a little bit more specifically the different kinds of services I offer. Writing consulting is a very broad term, and it really can be used at any step of the way. I'm using it here as like the early part of the writing process, but it can also be in the middle. It can be linked with editing. Editing, there's lots of different kinds of editing. There's copy editing, line editing, developmental editing, and I basically offer kind of a form of line editing, but I customize it to the needs of my clients. So whatever their specific piece needs, that's what I'll work on. So it might be organization, sentence structure, transitions, word choice, that kind of thing. So yeah, and then proofreading, as I said, is the very last step in the process, which I think is ideal if someone just wants proofreading services. It might be somebody who blogs regularly and they feel like, you know, they know the writing process, they know how to write, but they might want to just check for spelling errors and double words like double the or two ands or misplaced commas and that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of room for growth in what I'm doing. Right now I'm offering the services I just showed you, but in the past I've facilitated community writing workshops, not in Iowa City, but in Ohio where I used to live. So I think that could be also incorporated into this. Online workshops, possibly. Twitter has a huge writing community, and I think there's a nice base of possible customers who might be interested in some sort of online format for writing workshops. And then kind of thinking about in the future of like that passive income of making kind of modules or learning modules or courses that people can download in regards to basic writing skills or even self-editing skills. There's a lot of these kinds of things for creative writing, but not so much for academic writing, and I've never seen anything for like learning how to self-edit, which I'm not trying to put myself out of business, but it is a skill and it can be learned and people can get better at it. Yeah, so basically, this is how to contact me. I have a website, I do have business cards too with my email address on it. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and I guess what I'm looking for from you is overall feedback, ideas to improve my pitch, ideas for marketing, which I really haven't done much of. I have social media and I've hung flyers up in coffee houses, and I am getting customers kind of by word of mouth. And I've been trying not to spend money on marketing other than my business cards. And just any other suggestions. That's basically it. Thank you. Yes.
So you were just presenting, I have this idea. So there's so many people on social media they have bad proof. I mean, I'm talking about they cannot spell for the
noticed.
Oh my gosh, it's like bad grammar, not knowing how to spell, and oh my God, even if they had something great, it discredits whoever writes it, right? Just based on the spelling or the grammatical errors that people put on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Is there a way to create some kind of app or something in that world that would allow that to less grammatical errors, right? I'm not trying to say send people back to school. Some people probably should, but
Spell check.
well, and that sometimes doesn't even save people, right? Because they might say, you know, like, I saw.
All your posts have to go to your editor.
Exactly.
Pre-post.
Yeah, exactly. I think here's what I'm trying to say is if you were to try to make, because I don't think me personally, writing doesn't have I don't have a passion to write, but if you could create something that makes it fun for people to write, if writing was known as more of a sexier art form versus like.
It isn't?
I have to write paper, I have to write, if you could add more flair to it, I think people would be more interested in, and maybe stop making so many mistakes.
Maybe. I think mistakes are always going to occur, even with like apps and spell check and those kinds of things. And one of the things I had originally thought of is marketing to businesses who use social media and who may not be proofreading their social media posts and making sure that, you know, they are presenting their best self, so they're not like going out to thousands of people with like misspellings or erroneous apostrophes and those kinds of things. But,
I know the president could use that.
yes. Yes.
I think it's great, even to teach, I mean, I don't, like, how to write and communicate on social media. If you consolidate your thoughts into short periods, you know.
Yeah, that's another good
You
idea.
should write a book on that.
Maybe.
Actually, just, become an expert on blog posts by, helping people write, but offering your services. But while I've got your attention, can you explain a little bit more your pricing policy? By the way, she did kind of make proofreading sexy. It's hard, you spend so much time writing something, and you never get so involved with it, you just don't know what you're missing those things.
Exactly.
How would you price someone coming at you, let's say an automated blog post, so that somebody, when they post something, it automatically goes to you for proofreading, and then you post it on their behalf? Or if I've got a 2-page article or paper for you to proofread, do you do it by the number of words, by the number of pages? And then a follow-up to that, if you're helping with the writing and all the others, the proofreading as an additional service doesn't make quite enough sense to me, because that to me would be addressed in your step 3, how that would be worth it for me to pay more if you haven't already taught those things in the previous steps.
That's a good point, and some of them will be caught. So if I'm editing and proofreading a piece, yeah, I'm gonna probably notice misspellings and try to get some of those things. When I go through the interaction with a client, I do give them a letter of agreement which says, I'm not proofreading, so I'm not guaranteeing that there aren't going to be errors, but I do tend to try to catch them in the editing process, which is why the proofreading service, if they would choose to do that, would be discounted, because in theory there shouldn't be as many errors. So as far as pricing goes, proofreading is $3 a page with a $15 minimum. So if you only have 2 pages, it's still going to be $15. That said, if somebody is using me on a regular basis, like if it's a blogger who wants me to check each post, I'm not going to charge them the minimum $15 each time. We'll work out some sort of payment schedule so that maybe I bill them on a monthly basis, so that they're getting kind of not a deal, but they're that way. And so then editing and consulting starts at $25 an hour. For editing, I generally estimate about 5 pages per hour. So that will give somebody an idea of like if they have a 100-page document, how much it would cost. For consulting, it would be similar, but it would depend on the project. I would give them an estimate before we start, because I have, payment is generally 50% of the total is due before I start working on the project, and clients do get a 5% discount if they pay in full upfront, which so far all of my clients have paid in full upfront, which is really nice because then I don't have to worry about collecting afterward. But I do lose a little bit of money that way too. I mean, not lose it, but you don't get as much. Yes.
Two questions. So who's your target market? Like, who do you want to be doing proofreading and editing for and saying, bro, why are you so cheap? Like, I don't see how you could monetize the business and scale it with those type of rates. You have to, I think, and we all do this as entrepreneurs, we start low rates because we think we want as much work as we can get. Well, why wouldn't you make the price more and get and value what your talent is a little bit more? For $15 or $3 per page, it should be more like $50 per page, you know?
$3 per page in proofreading is actually pretty standard, and it's on the higher end for proofreading.
Okay.
So it is a pretty standard rate. Once I'm more established, I would probably raise it a little bit, but it's a pretty standard rate. As far as the $25, I have on my website that I start at $25 an hour. So there is, as I'm just getting started and getting kind of testimonials from my clients, I know that there's editors that can charge $50 an hour or more, though I think more than that is pretty, you have to be really, really good. You have to have the people wanting your services. But what was your first question?
Now I have to change my question.
Okay.
That was a comment. I think you should take your rates off your website. I think you should do it per when a person reaches out to you, because it's the value of what you're providing them. Because if somebody needs something like, and it's needed, your rate goes up.
True, true.
You see what I'm saying? But if they look at it, it's like $15, $3 per page, they gonna go with that. But if it's something that's needed, then they're willing to pay their arm to get that done, right? And that's what you need to charge them, is the arm.
I don't know, respectfully, I totally disagree. To me, it was going to be much more expensive just by listening, and I think that'll drive people away. If you don't see the cost of something on the website, people assume it's too expensive. And if you change your billing method based on a person's need, that's almost targeted pricing, raising the cost of 2x4s after a hurricane. So
Yeah.
I think even to your point, it's way too cheap, whether that's a standard or not. Maybe go to 5. I still think you get the people. I mean,
Respectfully.
to my colleague on the.
You buy shoes from Nike. Let's say if I want those shoes, I don't go find out how much the hourly rate was to make those shoes. I just buy those shoes
But
because
you know what the cost of that shoe is by.
No, you don't. Okay? You don't know the cost. You just buy the shoe.
Respectfully.
You see what I'm saying? Like, the value of what you're providing has to be weighted out more. I think this, as a business person, when I'm listening to you, I think you have an opportunity. I think you put yourself in the corner by putting the rates online. If the clients that come to your website see that you don't have the rates, then those are the clients that you don't want. Those are the customers you don't want. You want the customers that's going to value what you do.
I do have, with my rates, I do have that if it's a rush job of someone, that they do get charged more. So if somebody wants something that would normally take me a week or two and they want it in like say 4 days, it's gonna be double of what I would normally charge. But and there is kind of that notation or.
But I think to go off this point, you do take them off, and I think it also gives you, one is to assess the situation. Like, because I think telling somebody like, oh, I'm gonna charge you extra for a rush, like, I think
off, and the customer say, "Hey, I want to hire you," they're valuing your talent and what you're able to do. Not your cost, your talent.
Additionally, I think there's a level of credibility that comes into play. If I'm looking at a website and seeing that it's $3 a page, I don't live in the $3, but $3 a page seems really cheap to me.
Yeah.
And it makes me think like, why is it so cheap? You know, like Walmart is really cheap. Like you're very qualified. I feel like I should be paying you. So when I see it so cheap, it makes me not trust you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
valid
mean, as a
point.
consumer, we looking for the lowest possible most times, you know, like, but if you can provide value, like the reason, I mean, people buy Michael Jordan shoes for the quality of the shoes and the brand. And you gotta think of yourself as like the Michael Jordan guy, you know what I'm saying? That's the mindset you should have.
Yes.
Hey, I like the concept that Andre was kind of hitting on, that if you could find fewer clients who want to pay more, and so I have an experiment, the
Okay.
idea that you can run. Start up a second website, call it something like just-in-time editing. And just do a few Google ads, get it out there, it's just like 24-hour turn, just something like that, $50 an hour. And see if you get any hits on that, because it's so much, I mean, if you're willing to have that kind of flexibility in your life, you're like, well, I got a just-in-time project, sorry, whoever's in my life, I gotta nail this thing. But if you could do less work and get more, that'd be fantastic. Really cheap to throw up a free webpage, a few Google ads, nice experiment.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I respectfully agree.
Hi.
Hi.
Listening to you earlier, you have extensive experience in this field, it sounds like, as opposed to maybe these guys who haven't. My question is, you've done your research on why your pricing is the way that it is, and your client base, you've done research on them, I'm guessing. Could you talk a little bit about maybe both of those things, what your research on the pricing already has been, since you've already made your decisions, and what there was a lot of talk of social media, but it seemed like to me that that was not your base audience, right? Are you editing books? Are you editing movie scripts? Are you editing academic papers?
My main thing has been academic papers, so I've done several dissertations and doctoral theses and those kinds of things, and other academic writing. I have in the past done memoir manuscripts, and I've done a lot of content for websites, so I have kind of a broad range, but I would say right now I'm kind of focusing on the academic market and looking at that. And as far as pricing research, I have looked at what the standard rates are, and because it's a fairly new business, I was like, oh, well, are people going to trust me? I do agree that, I like the ideas that I'm hearing as far as raising the prices and that kind of thing. And it's stuff that I've considered, and then we just don't know. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what your client base was, where you were getting your most income from, maybe how that could apply to pricing.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi. So I used to go here at the University of Iowa, and when I had some paper I wanted to edit, I would go to the writing center, which you have to set up a time with them. If you have to go way out of your way, it's down the hill, I don't want to go there. So if I were to have seen like a flyer like this in one of my academic buildings, and it had your social media on it, because my age demographic goes to social media before a website, I would have definitely looked into this and used you over a writing center, especially if you had your accreditation and everything on there, and I knew how good you were. So I think you said you could put stuff in coffee shops. Have you done anything at the library and the journalism building and the communication? I feel like you should have, there's not billboards, tags where you can hang stuff everywhere in the academic buildings on campus. I think you should totally do that.
It's a good idea.
Cheap too.
Yeah, thank you.
Going off that, if you play out you're on social media, you can just say you just submit your papers via Facebook Messenger, and then Venmo, Cash Me when you're done.
Okay.
students pay for something like you're writing?
Oh, I would have paid $3 a page.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I think that's reasonable.
For-
But let's, let me, for example, if you write for a commercial business, and you write something on their website, their homepage, and you charge $3, and they make $1 billion, and you see they just went public, and you like, man, I wrote all that, now we got $3.
And your rates.
Your heart gonna drop to your stomach.
Well, I mean, it's gonna depend, like, so you were saying, you know, you would go to the writing center, but again, it's gonna be depending on what you're expecting, you know, editing or proofreading. So proofreading is really, like, if you say, I want this proofread, I'm not changing any word choice or sentence structure, I'm just looking for, you know, erroneous commas or misspellings. I'm not changing any of the content, but if somebody is looking more for editing, where, you know, they want sentence structure variety or word choice things, or even content organization, that's gonna be a little bit different. So it kinda depends on what somebody is expecting too.
You should develop a set of commercial rates along with your academic
Oh, that's a
rates.
good idea.
So you have a set of rates that are like for commercial companies, and then you can keep the same rates that you have, because I think they would be more applicable for students.
That's a good idea.
It's like, I think that's what you're good at.
Yeah.
Like a very just like, because I think that's what can get confusing. It's like have your student site, that's where you do say $3 a page, and like, because they are the ones that are like all about cheap. But I agree, when you start talking about any sort of business stuff, you show $3 a page, they're gonna hold you to that.
You're gonna get the business you don't want.
And I think it's,
Yeah,
and it's
that
makes
confusing
sense.
too, because I think like I think if you could just have a site that's like a one page, and if it's a student page, it's like a once page, and then there's an upload. Like, this little thing you upload, document, you're done, and that's all you need for that one. Whereas your business one, I think you do need to like,
Case studies, you need to be able to have some.
yeah. And
Okay.
you want different testimonials, right? Because like, the guy who's running his e-commerce site does not care what Molly and like Biology 1000 says.
As a creative person, you should target creatives. They have mad misspellings and all their stuff.
That's true.
They need support from people like you. They're able to visualize and put stuff together to make it look nice, but they aren't always able to spell things the way they should be spelled. So somebody with your talent, you should be able to plug into the creative world and tell them and offer your talents, because you're a creative too, because you do creative writing, and say, hey, look, I can help you eliminate some of those errors that you make in your published work.
I gotta lock you in at $3 a page first.
And see, that's why before he was going, of course he's gonna hold me. Man.
No, and there's so much more to
Well,
the
let me say
presentation
this,
than
the
just
price goes
pricing.
up at 10 o'clock.
No,
So,
but there's so much more
Fine.
positive in your presentation than just the pricing issue, which everyone has different opinions on. I think you could do a better job sharing your massive amount of experience. Because, you know, just saying academic work, you've probably done 4 or 5 different areas within that. You've got a lot of experience, people should get that feeling, which I did, obviously, but, great stuff.
Great, thank you. Thank you, this is very helpful. I appreciate your feedback. Thanks. Okay.
So if there are no more questions, Jay would like to ask the last question.
That.
Go ahead, you wanna ask it? How can we as an entrepreneurial community help you out?
Well, I think you already have.
What else can we do?
Yeah, spread the word.
So did
I
y'all
have
add
business-
her social media stuff? Everybody in here
Standing
added
right in
their
front of it. And I also have business cards, if anyone wants, can I just leave some right up here? If you
Yeah,
guys wanna
that's
take
fine.
some? Or take them all. So, yeah, I would say spread the word is the biggest way to help me out.
Let's give it up one more time for Jessica.